Right, welcome to Honest to a Malt, episode 9, with myself, Duncan, and Mike. Mike, what's the name of the episode today?
Today's episode is called My Own Personal Cavus.
Excellent. That was the 9th take as well, Mike. So
I'm a visual creature. I need to write things down.
I've been telling people we do this all in one take, and now that's the first time we've ever scrubbed anything. It was only about 5 words, and it was already well known.
Apologies.
That's because you've gone full Joe Rogan on me today.
I have. I'm cigaring it up. I'm whiskeying it up. I'm like, yeah.
So just before anyone panics, this is not going to be a 3-hour pod. It's going to be the same tidy length it always is. It's just that Mike thinks it's really cool.
Yes, with slightly less controversial views.
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe, yeah. Oh, I've had this bug for like a week or so now. So if you hear me, slightly coffee or whatever, it's just is what it is.
I'll try and edit it out if he does go.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Right. Well, we should do, what's in your glass?
What have you been drinking, Mike, my friend?
What's in your glass, Mike?
So, what's in my glass is the Old Ballantruan, which is a 50% peated Speyside.
Is that any good?
Delightful. Yeah.
Right.
This is one of the ones really, really good value. Not that I always push value whiskies, but I seem to be because I'm Welsh and tight. 50%, nice level of peat, quite a lot going on. In a blinds challenge, this is one of those ones that will really trip some people up.
You reckon?
Loads of fruit on big time, mate. It's gone into a few blinds we've had on blind drams before, and I think it did quite well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it is by essentially this sort of company behind Tom and Tool. But yeah, really, really good stuff. I can recommend it highly.
Right. Okay. Well, you can just send me a sample rather than me.
Once again, you need to come to the to my whiskey room and sample some of my delights.
All roads lead to Rome, don't they? With you, any question that's fielded to you, you have to come around my house. You have to come over.
I just want friends.
That's all this is. That is all this is. So that's what you're drinking now. If you had anything else memorable in the last week or so?
I won't say memorable. I've had a few solid drams this week. I had a nice Maker's 46 yesterday after I finished the gardening.
Bit of sunshine.
That was good. What else have I had? A Hinch Craft and Casks, which is a Irish whiskey finished in stout casks. And again, that I don't think it's available anymore, unfortunately. I think they put it out at, I want to say 43% ABV. Put it out on Twitter, and Hinch came back to me because a few people were asking where it's from. But it was from Great Northern Distillery. It was 4 years old, and the barrels were Maker's Mark as well.
Right.
It was finished in Whitewater Brewery stout. So we've gone back to them and said, get hold of this stuff again and put out a cask strength because you'd have an absolute winner on your hands. It's stunning stuff.
Oh my days! I've just realised whilst you're going on about that, we haven't even said what we just said. The name of the episode. We haven't even said what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about like man caves, lady dens.
Yes.
if home bars, basically, that's the main topic of the pod. So we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Well, that's what I alluded to when I said you have to come to my whiskey room. I was giving you an in, but you didn't pick up
because you've got your own whiskey room.
I've got my own whiskey room. I've been told that needs to relocate due to events in my life.
Right.
That room's getting taken up for something else shortly. So, yeah.
So just an excuse to do some DIY, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. I'm just shipping myself out to the bottom of the garden.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what we're going to get to anyway. We're going to go. Got some thoughts on that, I'll tell you. Anything else that's been in your glass or anything else you want to share?
No, that's been it really. I've been quite light on the drinking this week.
And what's that fatty cigar you're smoking at the moment?
I am on a lovely little Davidoff Churchill at the moment. So
sounds all right.
A little. Is it a torpedo? Is that what we want to call it? I don't know what the shape is. I don't know. I'm not a cigar aficionado.
I'm not sure. I have my go-tos as well when it comes to cigars. Just try to keep it cheap, and you find a good one, and that's it. You stick with it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The complete opposite of our whiskey habit.
Yeah. Literally, what is the cheapest thing I can smoke that says like a decent brand on it? So,
yeah. What did you have today? Well, I had mild cheese sandwiches for lunch, and then I had a £3 cigar. I had cornflakes for breakfast. Forgot that, and then I was drinking £100 malt in the evening.
I opened my £400 single malt that's been aged for 30 years.
Yeah. People say to me, "Do you want to come in? Do you want to come to Costa get a coffee?" I'm like, "No. Why would I spend money on a coffee at Costa? You're mental." but I'm fine to be dropping big bucks on bowls.
What have you? What is in your glass at the moment, mate?
Right now, I'm actually doing a bit of an experiment. I talked about Rowan Co a few weeks ago, and there's a note in there I didn't quite like. I said it was a bit soapy slightly, and so I keep going into the cupboard and then not drinking it. And so I decided, well, I'll just try to make it a bit more interesting. So it's that old rule, isn't it, of bang a bit of peat in. So I filled it up with it was about 2/3 full. Yeah, I took some pictures. It was about 2/3 fully-ish. And so I put like some Talisker 10 in it, maybe 10-15% of the bottle was now Talisker 10. And then I topped it up. I put like a dash of Lager 16 in there. Not much, just a little bit, yeah.
You have been on a blending mission.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, it didn't quite work, and then the lager brought it together. But I also put some of that milk and honey because that was quite oaky and sherried. I mixed it all up, and actually, I have to say it's a lot better. So,
have you kept your ratios written down?
I mean, it's just approximate, isn't it? It's about 2/3 Rowan Co. So maybe say 65% Rowan Co. The Irish, the standard one, the 45% one, and then it's probably say 15% Talisker. What's that? What are we at now? 70-ish. 75, so no more than that, 65, 80, right? Then it's about 15, 16, 17% of the milk and honey sherry elements. The best whiskey in the world. I thought, how'd you improve it?
Best single malt.
Best single malt in the world. So I thought, put the best single malt in the world in, and that'll improve it. And
actually it has.
It actually has, yeah. Then I put a drop of lager in at the end, and I just sort of kind of pulled it together. I smelt it and it didn't smell quite right. Put the lager in, and then it smelled lovely. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of got this really gentle peat smoke going on in it, and the caramel from the Talisker has really helped it out, to be honest, and it has hidden that kind of bum note that I don't like. So now it's much more drinkable. So that's a success.
Very well done. Very well done.
And there was something else that struck me this week. I was drinking a few samples, and we missed a couple of things last week. We didn't talk about it in the supermarket stuff. We forgot to mention Black Bottle. Not that anyone's messaged us about this, but we just forgot to mention it. I think it's because you can't really buy them at supermarkets, but you can buy them at Amazon. And those Black Bottle, the Smoky Island one or whatever it is, or Islay Smoke or something like that. And then there's the double something. I'd have to look them up. I've put them on the website. I can never remember what they're called. Yeah. Double barrel, maybe. Anyway, they're exceptional for something like £22 to £25 because the ABV is higher. Yeah. Another one that we missed, I really wanted to check. So I was going back through and trying drams because they've got a sample box. So I tried Classic Laddie again, which for me is okay, right?
I dived into that last night, weirdly.
I don't think it's
really
special.
Liked it.
Oh, okay, you love it.
There was a weird sort of cream note that runs through it, but it's like also slightly. It's not quite my beloved New York cheesecake, but it's got that soury cream note running through, which I really, really like. It's
definitely good, and it's really good value. So maybe that should be. I think I can't remember if that's on the list as well. That probably should be on the list. But I tried the Tobermory 12, and I haven't tried that in ages, and it's incredible.
Don't think I've tried it. To be fair,
it's actually incredible, and it's not you can't actually buy it at supermarkets, and you can buy it on Amazon, obviously. Yeah. It's usually maybe at 42, sort of the cheapest. Maybe someone probably say you get it for 40 or whatever. But anyway, it's still creamy. It's got cereals, the oaks in there, the fruits in there, the saltiness is in there. It's got everything. It's one of those ones that's super moreish. Yeah. There's enough going on. And come on, given what brand they put out, it's a no-brainer that it's going to be great, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Because the distillate must be amazing. So I don't know why I've been ignoring that, but now I'm much more on that. And I also tried Downmore Cigar Malt, which isn't very good.
Yeah. I had a few samples of that a little while back, and it wasn't great. But
yeah, it's drinkable. But
it's funny you mentioned that, Laddie, because someone reached out today. I think it was talking about Joe Rogan. I'm going to use his real name. Jack Rogan on Twitter contacted me and said he's had the Tomatin Legacy from supermarkets, which is, again,
that's good. Didn't we mention Tomatin?
He's up north. So he probably gets a little bit better sort of supermarket selection than us.
Right.
But again, classic Laddie. Both under 30 quid now and again.
Well, so. we're for the people. We'll add Classic Laddie to the list that we've got on the website, right? I mean, there's no point fighting it, is there?
No.
So Black Bottle was added. We'll add Classic Laddie, and who knows about the other one? But I personally will be probably getting a bottle of that to have in the cupboard. I think I might even prefer it to Springbank 10. Like, bit of a statement. Very. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's probably in a similar ballpark to kind of like Bunner in terms of like flavour and salt and cream and scrumminess. Someone's going to tell me it's not at all, but I'm not saying it's exactly the same. What I'm saying is it gave me the same kind of tingles. Went to a party on Saturday, barbecue drams. So for a few friends, and I took everyone along a sample. So I picked out samples from the cupboard, which always makes people smile, doesn't it? Just people know we're not horrible individuals. So I picked everybody out a sample based on what I know they like and whether they drink whiskey or not. But also I took along the new Glen Scotia Festival release. And we hammered half the bottle. So
are you in a good place to give your opinion on it now then?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to do detailed tasting notes now because this was at barbecue and there's a lot going on. I've tried it again since, and I think that what people are saying about it is pretty accurate. It does have some kind of like peach and kind of apricot notes. It's very malty on the palate, salty. It's just got a lovely mouthfeel to it. Someone said sort of treacle, and for me, last year's had a much more kind of treacle element to it. It was less clear, but it's basically a very light, moorish, salty, kind of fruity dram with the just tiniest bit of peat in there. It's a real joy, actually. I still think I might prefer last year's more. But maybe that's just a fondness for last year's, and I really loved the port editions before.
And plus, if you're at a barbecue, there's other stuff going on. You're not really sort of chilling.
No, but what I was going to say is, when you turn up to an event and you've got people that don't drop the kind of money on whiskey that we do, and you bowl up with a bottle, but some of them actually really like whiskey, they get really excited. Because they're like, this is great. It's like a little upside to the afternoon, right? So you've got people who are just drinking it like as a whiskey to drink, but they're going, this is really easy to drink, right? This is really nice. It's fruity. And then you've got people who are really into their whiskey who are, kind of like, put the sausage in a bun down, right? Put the hot dog down. They're like, I might take this seriously for about 15 minutes, right? So that was kind of cool. And I think when you've got it, we'll probably taste it live together again because it's still so good. In the end, I did actually pick up 2 bottles of it. So I've got 1.5 left now. Yeah.
Well, when you come to my whiskey room, you can bring that and then we'll crack into a few other things from my side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, I feel like it's going to be a sizable subject today. I feel quite passionately about this thing. So I think we should just get into it. My own personal cavus. Well, I'll kick it straight off. Men, it turns out that most of the listeners to this podcast are fellas, but I'm sure there are some ladies out there that like to have their own whiskey den or home bar, or or into DIY or whatever, or who knows. But men, particularly men, they always feel like they they got to build something. It's always legacy stuff, isn't it? With fellas, right? They're not happy to just. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons this kind of stuff happens. Is you've got man caves, you've got sheds, you've got whiskey, home bars. It's all kind of the same thing, isn't it? It's somewhere where that they can build that they.
I made this,
right? Like it's like with children. You're going to find out. Is you some people, women would say, I really care for this for my baby, and men say I made this, right? I'm going to look after this versus men saying I made this, right? And that's not the same for everybody, but there's a degree to it. So I feel like that's kind of part of it. I think the first thing is it's often just sort of semi kind of bragging rights, and that's where it kind of snowballs for me. And that's why so much I don't fully understand it. Now I put my cards on the table. I do not have a whiskey room. I do not have a home bar.
Loser.
I don't have
or winner.
I don't have a shed at the bottom of the garden. And I don't know why. Do you?
So I'm in the shed. I'm in the summer house.
Right. Of course
that's
you
where
are.
I do my pod from. So away from the house, away from the dog.
Right.
More so to give Lara a piece
Yeah.
than listening to us two, because she's had the rough end of a few sort of 3 a.m. finishes on blind drams and stuff like that. She's like, "You're just repeating yourself. Shut up." I'm like, "Sorry." So yeah, I'm safe down here. This is my little safe space.
That's different though, isn't it? Blind drams, because you'll be you're
trolleyed
after a few, aren't you? So
yeah.
But so part of me doesn't get it. Is I'll just say what I see as the downsides. Right. So you can't do this. You can't go, "I've had enough. I'm going to the pub." What do you say? "I've had enough. I'm going to the bottom of the garden to hang around with the gnomes." I need to get some space. I'm going to my own shed to pour myself a can of Carling. Right?
I don't think I've used my whiskey room or the summer house in rage.
Right.
Is
No,
good,
I'm
or as a sort of counter to
I'm not suggesting you should do, but you know what I'm saying, kind of like.
The whiskey room was, until I had this built, was my safe space to an extent,
right,
where I've got a little armchair in there, leather, a little Scottish throw, my whiskey cabinets, all nice lighting and things like that.
Oh,
so it
sounds
was like
wonderful. Some scented
it's
candles.
like an old fashioned. It's not scented. No, because it spoils the whiskey. I was going to put scented candles in. I was told off.
Yeah. You've got your bath in the corner.
I'd love that.
you would love that, wouldn't you?
I could spend all day in the bath. But yeah, blimey. If I could have a whiskey room and a bath, got
there's
me
an
thinking
idea.
now. It's an upgrade potentially going
So you're
on.
like
but,
you're like the DIY one of the two of us. You've customized your shed sort of thing, right?
Well, it will be. So this will slowly. I'm just sort of like trying to work out what I can do.
You just stand there with your arms crossed sometimes, just staring at it, like staring at what you've created, and just go, I made this.
I was down here for an hour before we started today. Just sat. I got a little sofa in here. Just sat going. If I put that, I could put the things there, and then cover that, and then I'm
that makes such a difference.
Shut off from the outside.
That'd be transformative. That would that change everything. So there's so at this point on Saturday, I was chatting to a mate, and we were talking a bit about this, and he was saying also, he said, doesn't really fully get it. He's like, if you have, so say you've built a successful home bar, and all your friends come over, and you're super popular, like pat on the back, everyone's coming around yours all the time. You're just stood behind the bar serving them drinks. It's like you're working for them, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm sure it's fun sometimes, but if you had friends that came around, say, once a week or whatever, and you're the person hosting, cleaning glasses or whatever, if you go down the pub, you can just sit at the bar, right?
True.
And just crack jokes and not have to worry about washing glasses or, serving drinks.
With my setup, it's definitely, again, I've made this. Look what I've done. Give me some praise.
Yeah.
It's like, right, come in, have a look. We'll choose some bottles, but then we'd probably drink them in the kitchen. You wouldn't stay in. I don't stay in there. I don't know whether that's just me, because it's not big enough, essentially. So, yeah. And I've got a perfect draft beer thing as well.
Right.
So,
of course you have.
During the set. Right.
And you've got one of those Nitrous Surges Guinnesses, haven't you? All the gear, no idea. That's 100% you.
If you get someone round that has got no interest in whiskey whatsoever,
right,
they can just go and pour themselves a beer, especially if they've never worked in a bar.
Right.
If someone that has never worked in a bar.
Because when people come round, your job is to really teach them how to work at a bar.
My job is to teach them about good whiskey and then how to pour a pint properly.
Okay, so you're educating people when they come round.
Trying.
Have you given it a name? Does it have a name, your home bar?
It was the Stag Whiskey Bar, which is a play on mine and Lara's surname.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's not like Mike Shack or Mike Shakalak or
Mike's Love Shack.
Or anything
Come
like
to
that.
Mike's Love Shack and have a pina colada.
Yeah. Have you ever made a pina colada in your home bar?
No. I
feel like that's not
whiskey.
Not a proper home bar then. So would you class it as a home bar or a whiskey room? Shed.
I was
whiskey shed.
100% whiskey room, and this will be a whiskey room as well.
Okay.
So,
is it two rooms in the shed?
No, it's just going to be one room.
Right. Open plan whiskey shed.
Open plan, yeah. I mean, I could make it into two, but I got nowhere to put the lawnmower. So.
That is cool. So
It's just a little project to work on. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it. I do get it. We were in central London, centralish London. We don't really have the space really. So maybe if I had infinite space or 10 bedrooms or whatever, then I'd definitely have a whiskey room. I could imagine having kind of like pin leather chairs, or you sort of some kind of comfortable sofa anyway. Good music player, like non-white walls. Something a little bit darker, some nice lighting. So somewhere just to be able to kind of chill out a little bit. Yeah.
It's going there, mate. It's going there.
Exactly.
Heading in the right direction.
I get that. Some bottles nicely presented in a cabinet that you can pour off. But I just don't know if I'd go full home bar. That's what I'm saying, right?
No, I don't think you could. Well, if you've got the space for it, hats off to you. But to have like a whole, it's a lot of effort to even keep that up. And what's the point of having a stand behind bar unless you've got stuff on draft, and then you've got to clean your lines, and there's like, is that actually
that's what I mean?
Grief?
Then you're working for people, right?
It's a grief that comes with it.
Mates coming over,
got a room,
they're rubbing their hands. They're going, let's go over Mike's shack again. Yeah. And then turning up, and then you've been cleaning the lines, and this is a lovely pint, this is. And you're thinking, I spent 2 hours cleaning the lines earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it, is it? Just go to the pub. Get out.
Well, go to the pub for a beer. Don't go to the pub for a whiskey. But
that's
we'll cover that at another time.
Yeah. So, but on this thing, it got me thinking about it. It's really about your own space, isn't it? Right. And so if you happen to be into whiskey, then you turn your own space into that. I guess if you've got multiple hobbies, you might have a shed and a home bar and something else and something else. These people that live in these sprawling mansions or whatever.
Which is not me. Let me just make that clear.
Every room's got a theme. Yeah. This is this room. But caves have been sort of quite popular in sort of, look, hey, who has a cave? All cool people have caves, right? You got Batman, he had a cave. Fred Flintstone, he had a cave. They lived in a cave. Yeah.
I think everyone had a cave in those days.
Osama bin Laden, he was very into caves.
He chilled out with one for a while.
He held up for a long time. Probably had loads of whiskey in there, right?
Best hide and seek game ever.
Exactly. So I'm sure this is where kind of part of it, especially Batman, part of it comes from.
Probably.
Yeah. Actually, I do wonder about Batman. Just when he has all right, I'll tell you why. He has a very deep voice. Now, you love doing impressions, don't you? Right?
Yeah.
So can you do Batman? I am the Batman.
I am the Batman.
I am the Batman. Have you ever thought about why? Because he's supposed to be the king of bats. And they're
Which is pretty rubbish, to be fair.
Yeah, super rubbish. No one ever talks about that. But he's supposed to be the king of bats, and bats are like sonar, they're high pitched. Do you ever just think to yourself that maybe they can't understand what he's saying?
They're just silent. They just go around him going, what the hell is this?
But they have sonar, right? They make squeaky noises.
Why has he got a cape?
They squeak.
Yeah.
And he's there in his deep voice. They probably haven't got a clue what he's saying.
Well, that's why. He's been excluded by his mates, so he's basically tried to like jazz up his cave to make himself seem cool to get his mates round.
Yeah. So that's what it is. He just wanted people to come over, look at his cave and go, you are so cool. I love what you've done with this.
Robin, come here.
Look at all the toys you got.
Look at this. Yeah, that's great, mate.
He wouldn't bother trying to save Gotham these days. He'd be too busy building his home bar.
He'd be pissed, that's why.
Cleaning the lines.
Cleaning lines.
Cleaning lines.
He went too big.
So, talking about the extra shelves he's going to put up because he's got another 50 bottles of whiskey he's got to mount on the wall.
Just trying to compete with the Joker who's just got like a shots only bar or something similar. Like just wild.
No,
he's got a club.
The Joker's down the pub. He's down his own club that he owns. And someone else is pouring the drinks. The Joker's
true.
Club.
Yeah.
So you like I'm just saying caves. So caves, caves kind of like that man space or that space, and then you've got like kind of sheds, and sheds are a bit mixed, aren't they? You've got a shed, so you're more in the sort of David Cameron camp.
I got a summer house, mate. I haven't got a shed.
This
is an insulated, like double glazed.
It's a building at the bottom of the garden, right?
Yeah. It should be an office.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you've got a proper external building. So it's not calling a shed. Fair enough. But
you're insulting me.
Sheds have been sullied a bit. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think sheds are so cool anymore. So this home bar thing, what do you think is the best? Like, what's the best setup for like a whiskey room if you want to have a whiskey at home?
If I had the space, I would have had like just enough room for 2 like armchairs, then your cabinets,
right.
And if you were that way inclined with the cash, you'd have an open fire all day long.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And because that's also it's a team activity, isn't it?
Yeah. Just sit there in peace.
Just keep the
Lara
fire going.
hijacks my room a lot.
All right.
Like, if she's taking calls or something, she'll go in there and I'm like, why are you in my room? And then the dog's now taken over it as well, since he's got the Scottish blanket and has taken that down and sits in it. So I find him asleep in there most of the day. He's just on his own. I'm like, oh, brilliant. So everyone's kicking me out of there, essentially.
Well, it's a kind of like everyone uses it, right? So I guess we're keen to hear about what kind of whiskey rooms people have got set up at home.
I want to see pictures. I need
see pictures. I don't really have anything at all, really. I just drink whiskey wherever I am around where we live, whichever room I happen to be in or place.
Yeah.
But I think if I would like to have a specific kind of like, it would be nice to have a couple of chairs, maybe a fire, or
do you know? I think I
jukebox.
Yeah, I think I was influenced by YouTube,
right?
Because I think all the videos back when I first started drinking whiskey, loads of it was done me watching YouTube and getting the same dram that they were reviewing or doing it. So
right, okay.
Scotch test dummies, you could see how their bar evolved.
Yeah.
Vin PF, no nonsense whiskey.
Right.
Like he had a cabinet, but that's like grown and his like workspace has gone. Roy has gone from like strength to strength. And obviously like you're
just lagging here on this rubbish pod.
Yeah. Mate, I missed the opportunity. I was sort of...
You missed the boat. You were too busy building your extension.
Twitter's
they're all on TikTok.
Yeah. And then the Whiskey Tribe over in the States in Texas, obviously they had an amazing whiskey room, and then that like developed into their own distillery now. And you're like, man, I missed the boat on this. But yeah, it was... I think that influenced me more because I'm like, oh, look at that. That just looks so good. That's what I would love to have done the pod with that all in the background and things, but it just doesn't quite work out in the house. So the space behind me, you can't see it now, but it will develop. And we'll put up little videos now and again of us recording stuff. So hopefully we'll see the backgrounds develop a little bit on my front, certainly. And then I'll convince you to sort of just, kick the child down to the living room or something and use their bedroom as a whiskey room.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something. Yeah. I'm trying to think of things I wouldn't have beanbags in any room, really.
Thought about it too. Can you imagine, like, I'm not being funny, I'm quite a big lad, and if I try to sit down after a couple of drams into a beanbag... Your
chairs have got to be the right kind of height, haven't they? You can't be having low, on the floor seating in a...
There'd be whiskey everywhere, be all over me.
In a home bar.
You wouldn't get up. There'd be glasses knocked over every time.
Yeah. It's nice to have a counter or something to be able to put the whiskey on so you can have a few bottles out. I think that's... Whenever you have friends over, it's always nice to put a few bottles out, isn't it? Yeah. So that's probably an essential part. Minimal screens... because screens just detract from the experience. Music, yes.
Lighting,
yes. I don't know what else. Maybe like a fish tank or something.
Nah, that's too far.
Is that too far? Is it? I love it. Something relaxing.
I haven't got the patience to keep up like a fish tank.
In fact, my ideal would be scrap whiskey.
Sharks.
My absolute ideal would be like a whiskey type porch or like a room that looks out across like something like the sea or something. In fact, yes, my ideal would be it's like a porchy type room or a room that overlooks the sea and all the stuff we already said. Maybe like a few chairs set up so we can sit out and look over the sea and just sit there drinking our drams. I think that would be the absolute perfect. And then I think it wouldn't matter too much what was in the room. Really, as long as there was some comfortable seating and a place to put the whiskey.
Do you know what's sort of quite sad? Like, I want to relocate back closer to Wales, where I'm originally from, just for like family stuff. So I've looked at like places where I can move to, but still get to London quite easily. So I've looked at places like Ross-on-Wye on the Welsh border, and every house I look at,
no idea what that is.
Have a Google. It's a lovely place, but they've got like up on sort of hillsides with rivers and things running through. And I'm just going, oh, if I could get that, I could put a triple glazed like corner into that thing and I can overlook a river. And then that's where the whiskey room's going to be.
Oh, amazing.
Blah, 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 blah. And Lara was like, we're not moving.
I once went. I did my stag do was in Bala in Wales. I think that's the last time I went to Wales. Is it Bala?
Bala's in North Wales, is it?
Yeah, North Wales. Yeah,
yeah.
It's whitewater rafting and stuff. It's a really beautiful part of the world.
North Wales is lovely. I hate to admit it because I'm a South Walian.
Right.
West Wales, North Wales, stunning.
I have been to Cardiff. Where's Cardiff?
Cardiff South. So
I've been to Cardiff. Yeah.
I live sort of between Cardiff and Barry.
Right.
Famous Gavin and Stacey. I'm sort of in between.
Barry, right.
But even Barry, there's some lovely places down there. The Nap is like overlooking like the coast, really like beautiful, quiet, stunning views. But again, it's quite a secret little location.
Right.
But yeah, it's a view in the perfect whiskey room.
It's just a room with a view. That's all it is. Like, it's a room with a view where you're not cold, and the view should be as nice as possible. And then what's in your glass should be whatever you fancy drinking, right? That's it.
Straight from the supermarket.
So, don't worry about this all strapping up kegs nonsense and massive cocktail mixing stuff in your lady den. In fact, we'd love to know if any ladies have actually created their own sheds or dens. Or
I guarantee.
Of course they have. Of course 100%. They have. But still love to hear about it, wouldn't we?
I think if you look at Instagram, I'm going to find out quickly.
Something's always going to be on Instagram. You could find anything.
But some of the best, like the best whiskey setup I've seen.
Right. Well, what was in the best whiskey setup you've seen then?
So it's Hidden Door.
Right.
It's the Duchess of Islay on Instagram.
Oh, I think
Amanda Young, I think it is.
Somebody sent this to me. It wasn't you. Somebody else sent it to me. I've seen it.
And it's like, it's a
got
hidden
these perfect
door.
shelves, brick back bay, hidden door.
That's it.
But it looks a little cold in there to me. Like, I want it to be a bit warmer. It looks a bit.
That's the cave, though, isn't it?
That's the cave.
Effect,
that's the Batman. That's their Batman moment. Yeah.
You know, it's warm, stable temperature. I'm like, that like she has got probably one of the best setups I've seen in terms of like a whiskey room or anything. I think all that's missing is a view and I think a fire.
Just drill a hole in the wall. So that if it's an external wall, just drill a hole.
4K, 8K TV with a fire burning.
Picture showing the sea running all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
To be fair, yeah. So the dens are out there, certainly the lady dens, and that was I googled that, by the way. Man cave. What is the ladies equivalent? And it's lady den. So that wasn't my genius. That's generally apparently what it's called. But
it's a good general sort of rule of thumb. Good general rule of thumb for the pod there. It wasn't your genius, Mike.
Oh no, it's never my genius. It's always someone else's. It's what you know about me. Everything is Google.
Borrowed.
Yeah.
So
I asked AI.
Not something borrowed. Everything borrowed.
I need something blue and everything borrowed.
Everything borrowed, please. Yeah. I've got next to me a few empty boxes of like Glenallachie 10, batch 4, Springbank 15, and an empty bottle and box of Springbank Local Barley 10, because for ages I've been trying to G myself up to do like art projects with them, and I just haven't got around to it. So I've decided I'm going to put them out, so I have to stare at them every day to encourage me to actually get it done. Right?
If you want to do it, you just get some tea, obviously, and refill the bottles. Don't laugh. It sounds good. So try and get it to as close to the same color as you can original.
Right. It sounds well dodgy, Mike.
No. Glue your cap down.
Right.
So it's super glued on, and then you can do you can put it basically into a table.
Okay.
You're looking at me weird.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
No, because you can pour. What is the stuff called? Like liquid plastic. It'll come to me.
Just say liquid plastic.
No, it's not. There's a name for it.
Is it see-through?
Yeah.
Right. So see-through, like some kind of see-through liquid that sets.
You can pour it. So you could do get 2 pieces of like driftwood to be the foundation of your table, then have a channel running through with the bottles, and have like a piece of wood underneath or a colour underneath.
So this is the kind of stuff that you would, if you were trying to hide a body that you're burying in the floor, this is the kind of stuff you wouldn't use. You use concrete, not that, right? Yeah. This is putting everything on display, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but honestly, the ones they do,
don't be trying to cover up murders with that.
Amazing. Right? They've got like Star Wars effect scenes where they've created like the channels of the fighters running through as they were going to blow up Death Star. And
so you're saying like
table.
fill the bottle up, make it look like it's still full, and then
like
sort of freeze it in some kind of hard space or something.
Yeah,
that would be cool for the for a whiskey room, wouldn't it?
Super cool.
That would be cool. What would actually be cooler is if the bottles weren't so not in the box, right, but like kind of angles, just like floating. Yeah. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
You would just put that would be underneath it.
That would be very cool.
There you go. See, I've sparked a little interest in
But that's not what I'm planning on doing, though. I'm planning on doing something else, more of a kind of statesman thing, really. And I've set my mind on what I'm doing, so I just need to get on with it. I need to write it on a list, so I do it this year.
Have you got your Tony Hart on? What's your plan?
My Tony Hart. It's because people can't say Rolf Harris anymore. So now it just says Tony Hart. I know what I'm doing. I won't share it.
Just getting my 70s BBC presenter.
I'm not going to share it just in case I don't actually do it, right? So, it's just in case. So, I'm getting a picture. I think at one point in my life, I will have a sort of whiskey room. I'm sure it will happen. And when it does, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But until then, I'm going to make do with just enjoying my whiskey wherever I'm sat.
I can't now see myself without one.
Right.
Which is like, it's really stupid, selfish thing to say. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's probably
become an essential part of your life.
I can't remember what gen I am, Gen X, Y, Z, whatever. But it's like, you need your own space. And it was always like, it's like your own bedroom sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
growing up in your mum and dad's house, your room was your space, and then when you grow up, you don't have that space anymore. But it's like you reclaim everything. We get older, but we get younger as the sort of time seems to go on.
All hobbyists usually have some space to do their hobby, so it's just a case of if your hobby's
train track
whiskey,
in the attic,
exactly. Or I used to be really into that kind of Warhammer stuff when I was younger, like really, like much younger, like sort of teenager, and
painting.
Painting them and, doing all that battle stuff, whatever the different types of game were. But the point is that took up loads of space and loads of time, right? And actually cost a lot more money than whiskey. And actually, computer games cost a lot more as well. I don't play computer games anymore. If I do, they're free ones. People spunking like 50 quid a month, 50 quid, 100 quid a month on computer games, right?
Easy. And I think if you think of the setups,
all the add-on stuff.
Sitting at the end of your bed, just hammering a controller back and forth. Yeah. There's now like full-on F1
chairs. People are sat there saying they've got gaming rooms, haven't they?
A full-on simulator.
Yeah, so it's like everyone's got their own needs their own kind of space for their hobby these days. Hobbies have become so home orientated, haven't they?
I think it's probably a lockdown thing as well, because
probs.
That's when I got mine. Obviously, we moved during lockdown, but it was like that was your chance to go out in, if you know what I mean. You're in.
Yeah.
You're not out in because you're not getting smashed, but you just need a place that's like in.
Yeah. So like, okay, so what you're saying is like Mickey Flanagan, you're not going out, you're going in, right?
Going in.
Going big at home.
Well, no, because I think that would be out in.
That would be out in. No, it'd just be in. Because the point is that you can say you would say I'm going to go out, but if you're going out, it means you're going on a big one. I'm going out, right? So if you were going to your home bar or whiskey space, where you say, oh, I'm going in, but if you're going to go on a big one, you'd be, I'm going in. You wouldn't be like out in. That would suggest that that sounds like a children's playground game.
We might have to just contact Mickey Flanagan and go, mate, sort us out here.
Just ask him to clarify.
Tell us, are we in? Are we out in?
He'd probably tell us he doesn't care.
I don't give a monkeys.
He's double busy.
I don't reply.
Yeah. His best joke, I think, and it was that I'm double busy. I've got to sign on and get back to work, just as a one-liner. Yeah,
I think the best sketch to me is the peeper. It is absolutely genius. Where he's peeping around the curtains and he gets caught, and he goes, "You just got to maintain the peep."
Just keep it going.
Don't pull away because they'll get weirded out. Basically,
he's got a few good ones actually. So he's a funny guy. But anyway, so well, tell us what you think. Whether you think it's out in or in, as I suggest. So if you're pro Mike and you think Mike's right when he's not, then you'll be saying it's out in. If you think in is the correct way to surmise going big and getting drunk at your home bar or in your whiskey room, as I suggest, and I suggest that I am right, then just say Duncan is correct. Yeah. And if you're somebody like, who's been generally quite nice and you want to sit on the fence, don't choose a side. It's really important.
Choose Team Mike.
choose a side. Yeah.
Out in.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've done our best there to cover the kind of home bar whiskey room thing. We'd love to hear about whatever you've got going on in your place.
And do please send us your pictures of your whiskey rooms and your bars and everything else, and we can sort of steal notes. And if we can convince Duncan to make one, that'd be hilarious, because you're getting so much trouble.
I could have like a whiskey corner of the room.
Whiskey corner.
The whiskey corner.
Come, children, let's read a story in the whiskey corner.
Let's come now. We will sit down on these tiny little button stools, and we must be,
lads.
We must be quiet. We must be quiet in the whiskey corner.
Come on, boys. Let's sit on the beanbags and get pissed
We
in
said
the
no
whiskey
to,
corner.
We said no to beanbags, Mike. We said no.
But if you're doing it in a corner, mate, you've got no option.
But you can have those kind of hard. Just a little, and a pinboard. It has a one pinboard on the wall. I'm allowed a pinboard and a few kind of like small chairs and a beanbag, and that's it. That's all we get, right?
And on that sad bombshell.
One floor crate with like 6 bottles in it. That's it.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear me.
Well, get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Send your pictures, and we will. We'll catch you on the next one. Duncan, do you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah, thanks for listening again. Catch you soon.
Bye.
What have you been drinking, Mike, my friend?
Stop. Mike.
Hey guys, enjoying the pod, or should I say I was, until your slightly embarrassing faux pas regarding Mark Wahlberg. It was Donnie Wahlberg, who is in New Kids on the Block, or NKOTB to the fans. Mark Wahlberg had his funky bunch and some good vibrations. That's a shame. Disappointing. Yep, shame.